On the news, federal government considers payment of 2.5 trillion naira to NNPC for fuel subsidy. Protest withdrawal of aspirants Ma Ekiti APC primary election. And reps condemn re-emergence of coups in West Africa. A warm welcome and thank you for joining us on News Now. I am Folashade Ogrinde. The Federal Executive Council (FEC) has approved over 64 billion naira for 10 road projects to be executed in the Federal Capital Territory (FCT). At the meeting, which was presided over by President Muhammadu Buhari, the Minister of Finance and National Planning Zainab Ahmed revealed that the federal government has proposed a 3 trillion naira budget to meet the incremental fuel subsidy requests in the 2022 budget. According to her, only 443 billion naira had been provided to accommodate subsidies from January to June. Our correspondent Mary Kanu has the details in this report.
For the first time this year, President Muhammadu Buhari chaired the virtual Federal Executive Council meeting at the State House. A number of ministers were in attendance as crucial issues contained in various memos were addressed, including fuel subsidy removal, which has made headlines recently. With the meeting in progress, Finance Minister Zainab Ahmed announced a request presented by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited following a recent decision to extend the removal of fuel subsidy.
It was agreed by Council that it is desirable to exit fuel subsidy. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC, has presented to the Ministry a request for 3 trillion naira as fuel subsidy for 2022. And what this means is that we have to make an incremental provision of 2.557 trillion naira to be able to meet the subsidy requirement, which is averaging about 270 billion naira per month.
The executive also sought the restoration of certain funds deleted by lawmakers amounting to 103 billion naira.
Part of the request that Council has approved today is for the National Assembly to repeal clauses 10 and 11. So clause 10 is referring to a provision that has been made that will enable the EFCC and the NFIU be able to take 10% of whatever collections that they recover. We're asking for that to be repealed because this is in direct contrast to the acts of these two agencies, and also it is in contravention with the Fiscal Responsibility Act and the Finance Act 2021.
Seeking the rehabilitation and completion of major roads in the country, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, revealed that FEC approved 52.8 billion naira for the completion of road projects across the 6 geopolitical zones.
Rehabilitation of the Alesi, this is the revised estimated cost of the rehabilitation of the Alesi-Ugep road section in Cross River State, and the initial cost was 11.221 billion naira. The cost has now gone up to 14.740 with additional completion period of 6 months.
The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami, revealed that 2 memos were approved for his ministry, one of which is the approval on the deployment of the Revenue Assurance Solution, which is meant to protect the nation's cyberspace as well as improve revenue generation by blocking leakages across revenue-generating sectors of the country. Mary Kanu, TV360, Nigeria.
7 out of 8 governorship aspirants under the All Progressives Congress (APC) have demanded the suspension of the primaries in Ekiti State. The aspirants thronged the party secretariat in Ado-Ekiti with their supporters on Thursday, protesting alleged irregularities in the conduct of the party primaries. The protesters claimed the process had been manipulated to favor Abiodun Oyebanji, who is tagged Governor Kayode Fayemi's preferred choice. They also accused the superintendent officials of disrupting voting materials earlier than scheduled, with a sinister objective to give a sole aspirant an edge. The protesters also warned that the controversies may spell doom for the party. Well, joining me on the news to talk more on the disruptions in the party primaries in Ekiti State is Samuel Olugbeminiyi, a broadcast journalist who joins us live from Ekiti State. Well, thank you very much for joining us on News Now. The primaries in Ekiti has been marred with protest and withdrawal of aspirants. What can you tell us about what's went down in Ekiti today?
All right. Earlier today, we had about 7 out of 8 aspirants, like you mentioned earlier, visit the party secretariat to present their complaints that they had issues with the process leading up to the conduct of the party primaries. And with them, they were backed with a lot of their own supporters who came chanting protest songs, saying that they were tired of the system and that they also want a process that is free, fair, and credible enough for any aspirants to emerge. Former Secretary to the State Government, Abiodun Oyebanji, has been labeled as the favored aspirant of Governor Kayode Fayemi. And so we've seen a number of party faithful, we've seen a number of high-ranking members of the Ekiti APC come out to declare their support for him. And this is one issue that some of the aspirants have, because some of these persons that have come out to voice their support or endorsement for Abiodun Oyebanji are still some of the persons that were put on the primary election committee at the local government and even at state level, which is one issue that the aspirants seem to have with the entire process. And so they called for an outright cancellation of the process. They asked for a boycott and said, according to them, they do not believe that any election is ongoing. And they left the party secretariat and moved straight away to have a meeting with the INEC commissioner in Ekiti State. And from there, they also had a meeting with the commissioner of police in Ekiti State before proceeding to the house of one of the aspirants to have a meeting. And that was the last I could say of the entire process at that point. But voting continued across other parts of the state, across the 107 wards state.
We seem to be seeing some sort of disagreements across political parties in respect to congresses and primaries. What is the latest development regarding this, especially as 7 governorship aspirants have demanded the suspension of the primaries with seemingly strong accusations of election malpractices?
All right. Particularly in the case of the All Progressives Congress, the secretary of the election committee, that's Right Honorable Victor Labinton, who is the secretary of the committee, put out a statement almost immediately after the aspirants demanded the cancellation, saying that the primaries would continue, but the demands by the aspirants, and said they should nominate 20 members into the primary election committee to ensure that there is some bit of fairness and level playing ground. But the aspirants refused. So what we've seen here is there is a likelihood that their decision to boycott this entire process is left to them. The committee, the primary elections committee sent from Abuja will definitely announce results, because as at this moment, collation is going on across some parts of most local government, the 16 local government areas in the state, and we expect an announcement later this evening at the party secretariat. So it would go on. Don't forget that the deadline for the submission of names of candidates expires on the 29th, which is less than 2 days from now. So the parties do not have a choice. They have left it this late, and it is up to them to either submit a name or bear the consequences by not submitting any name. But we see a case where some of these aspirants would head to court if the National Working Committee of the party, well, the APC doesn't even have a National Working Committee but a caretaker committee. So we may see a case where the caretaker committee would intervene. But first, we are going to see these results, most likely see these results acknowledged and sent to INEC first before any resolution may come up.
Mr. Samuel Olugbemini, thank you very much. Broadcast journalist, thank you so much for your contributions. Well, moving on, representative of Imo West Senatorial District in the Senate, Rocha Sokorocha, has declared his intention to contest in the 2023 presidential election. The former governor of Imo State disclosed his intention on Wednesday in a letter addressed to the president of the Senate, Hamad Lawan, which he read on the floor of the House. He also informed the legislators of a proposed World Press Conference set to hold on Monday, January 31st, 2022 at the International Conference Center in Abuja.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has announced the timetable for the conduct of 2023 general election, including that of the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. While elections drawing nearer as the days go by, our citizens are concerned about the quality of persons to run the affairs of our nation, one who can address some of their major concerns, which includes a detribalized Nigerian who can unite our country, a leader with a compassionate heart who will care for the poor and downtrodden and the masses of our country, a visionary leader who can create wealth for our teeming populace, thereby addressing the issues of poverty, insecurity, and youth restiveness. It is as a result of these concerns that I wish to hold a World Press Conference on my intention to run for the office of the President of our dear nation. I therefore wish to solicit for your prayers as I make known my intention.
President Muhammadu Buhari has promised to treat the Chekiri people of Delta State fairly. The president made this known when he received His Royal Majesty Tisola Emiko III 5 months after his coronation as the Olu of Warri. In his remarks, the Olu of Warri said the visit was to thank the president for sending a high-powered delegation to his coronation as the 21st monarch of the kingdom. He also took the occasion to draw the president's attention to some crucial issues in Delta State.
The Reconstitution of the Nddc Board. After the forensic audit of the Commission, we believe that Your Excellency will soon reconstitute the Nddc Board. As an interested party, we only have prayers for Your Excellency's ears. We genuinely want a better deal for us in the Niger Delta, as we believe charity begins at home. By this, we mean that we Niger Deltans must be ready to put the betterment of our people first in all that we do. There are 4 ports in Delta State: Warri, Koko, Sapele, and Burutu. However, these ports are underutilized and can make substantial contribution to the Nigerian economy and improve the security in our region. We must bring it to your attention that certain elements in our region continue to recklessly flout court judgments, and these elements pose a threat to peace in the region. We know Your Excellency stands for not only peace, but fairness and justice.
The Lagos State Emergency Management Agency, LASEMA, said no life was lost during rescue operations at the 21-story building on Gerald Road in Ikoyi, Lagos. The Director General, LASEMA, Olufemi Oke Osayintolu, made this assertion when he appeared as a witness before a coroner's inquest to the incident that claimed the lives of 45 people, including the developer Femi Oshibono. At the inquest, Osayintolu said his agency was able to save 15 people within 2 weeks and was also able to get to the foundation of the building with effective management and abundance of human and material resources. The inquest has been adjourned to February 4th, 2022.
Our equipment is not killed. We are there to save, and we use sophisticated equipment. We use good expertise. We work 24 hours. We did not kill. We do everything that is possible to save life. We put our chests up there. We do everything that is humanly possible to ensure that we rescue people, as many as possible people. Because if you are looking at that kind of collapse, it's a piling. And with that kind of polythene, you can imagine what the victims are exposed to. And believe me, loud and clear, I can beat my chest to it. It was a national disaster. I can say all the first responders in Lagos State put their best to that work. We work 24 hours. We work till 2 weeks, till we got to the ground zero.
Contrary to speculations that a police helicopter which took off from Abuja crash-landed at the Bauchi airport, the Accident Investigation Bureau has revealed that the helicopter was involved in a controlled safe landing. According to a statement signed by Force Public Relations Officer Frank Umba, the Nigeria police helicopter flying from Abuja to Bauchi on Thursday, January the 27th, was involved in a controlled safe landing at the Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa International Airport in Bauchi State. Umba further revealed that the aircraft did not crash, as was reported in some sections of the media, and none of the occupants sustained any injury whatsoever, and then that all 6 on board, including the pilot and co-pilot, are in good condition. The Senate has passed for second reading a bill that empowers the federal government to seize assets acquired by corrupt public officers, terrorism financiers, among others. The bill, which was sponsored by Senator Suleiman Abdul Kwari, aims to curb corrupt practices and boost economic development. Kwari, in his lead debate, explained that the main objective of the bill was to provide for the establishment of a department in the relevant organizations to manage forfeited assets. After the reading, Senate President Hamad Lawan referred the bill to the Joint Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes.
The objective of this bill is to provide for the establishment of a department in the relevant organizations to manage forfeited assets, as well as provide for an effective legal and institutional framework for the recovery and management of proceeds of crime, as well as civil forfeitures in non-conviction based sentencing.
A bill for an act to make comprehensive provisions for seizure, confiscation, forfeiture and management of properties reasonably suspected to have been derived from unlawful activities and for related matters 2022, second reading taken. And the bill is referred to the Joint Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes and Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters to report back within 4 weeks.
The House of Representatives has condemned the resurgence of coups in Burkina Faso and other West African countries, saying it portrays great dangers to democratic values in the region. The House also called for sanctions from Nigeria and other countries, as well as the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. This is sequel to a motion by member Julius Egorbere, who lamented that there had been at least 4 coups in the sub-region in the last 6 months alone. In a submission, the House Minority Leader, Ndudi Elumelu, said African democratically elected leaders must wake up and deliver good governance to their people.
This illegal takeover of power from democratically elected governments violates several national constitutions, international conventions and protocols established by multilateral organizations, donors and development partners.
While condemning it, it is also a time for us to talk to ourselves, especially the leaders in African continent, because the manner in which the people are suffering, the manner of bad leadership that is pervading the African continent is something that we must look into. While we are against military coup, it is now time for our leaders to live up to expectation. It is now time for our leaders to ensure that the people that they lead, that they are giving the effective, good governance.
The worst form of democracy is far better than a benevolent dictatorship. So as such, we should always strive to jealously guard and protect our hard-earned democracy.
We'll take a break here, but still to come, Xiomara Castro to be sworn in as the first Honduras female president. Details of the story and more right after this break. Welcome back. Now, here is a recap of our top stories tonight. The federal government has proposed a 3 trillion naira budget to meet the incremental fuel subsidy request in the 2022 budget. According to the Minister of Finance, Zainab Ahmed, only 443 billion naira has been provided in the budget, which was meant to accommodate subsidies from January to June. We also told you that 7 out of 8 governorship aspirants under the All Progressives Congress (APC) have demanded the suspension of the primaries in the Ekiti state. The aspirants thronged the party secretariat in Ado-Ekiti with their supporters on Thursday, protesting alleged irregularities in the conduct of the party primaries. In case you missed any of our news bulletin or for more updates, do log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube and Google Plus at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we are TV360 Online. The Lagos State government has announced a reduction in the cost of COVID-19 PCR tests at its accredited private laboratories. The Commissioner for Health, Akin Abayomi, said the reduction in cost was to cost the expenses incurred by citizens who need a PCR test for travel, work, or other purposes other than COVID symptoms or contact tracing. The cost, which was originally 50,400 naira, will now be going for 45,250. beginning from the 28th of January 2022. We'll take another break here and return with more stories and business. To stay with us. Welcome back. Well, up next is Business News with Abisola Adebayo. Over to you, Bisola.
Thank you very much, Folashade. Welcome to Business News. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, has secured a $5 billion funding commitment from the African Export-Import Bank to fund major investment in Nigeria's upstream sector. According to the NNPC, the funding commitment is an offshoot of the meeting between the chairman of the board of directors and president of the Afrexim Bank and the NNPC Limited team, led by the group managing director, Mele Kyari, in Cairo, Egypt on Wednesday. The NNPC said that this move marks a major achievement in the corporation's quest to scale up investment in the oil and gas industry following the commencement of the implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act. We'll take a break here and return with a review of the stock market. Nigeria's local exchange group ended Thursday trading on a negative note as the market takes a breather from the strong rally which dominated the market for the past two trading sessions. 208 billion naira. That's the amount that investors knocked off in the gains recorded by the total value of equities listed on the NGX, and these translates to marginal 1.12% decline on the all-share index. Well, let's zoom in on the stocks that impacted the market sentiment today. NEM Insurance ended the session as the worst performing stock after losing 30 kobo during trading. Well, it's closely followed by Dangote Cement. I'll say it's a ton of luck for the cement maker because just 2 days ago, a group of investors, likely in insider dealings, expected to be announced and transacted over 1 million shares of Dangote Cement's shares, making it the biggest company by market capitalization. Oh, well, the market is completely unpredictable. That's why the Dangote Cement ended up in the losers list for today. On the flip side, as our gainers list today, Guinness and International Breweries PLC led the gainers counter as they recorded a combined 4 naira 75 kobo gain. Our market summary sees a total volume of 279 million units of shares valued at 2.7 billion naira, exchange hands in 4,582 deals. In the absence of significant sell-off in any of the heavyweight stocks on the NGX, there are expectations that these markets might trade in a similar pattern tomorrow as investors continue to buy up attractive counters while taking profit on previous gain as well. Fingers crossed, hopefully tomorrow the market might end in the positive territory. On the foreign scene, London's FTSE rose on Thursday following strong results from spirit maker Dego and as bank stocks benefited from rising yields. Dow Jones stocks also jumped at Thursday's open following upbeat data out of Washington that pointed to a strengthening economic recovery. But Japan stocks Nikkei ended in a negative territory just like yesterday. That's all on stock market report. Over to Folashade for the rest of the news.
Well, many thanks, Bisola, for that update. On the foreign scene, Honduras is set to swear in Chioma Castro as the first female president for the next 4 years. The inauguration ceremony will be attended by U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris, King Felipe of Spain, and Taiwan's Vice President William Lai. Once she assumes office, 62-year-old Castro is faced with pressing challenges such as high unemployment, persistent violence, corruption, and troubled healthcare and educational systems. Well, up next is Entertainment Reporter News Now.
Following the success of the smash hit Peru remix by YBNL Empire Act Fireboy and UK singer Ed Sheeran, the Grammy Award-winning English superstar says he plans to visit Nigeria with his wife and daughter as soon as the COVID pandemic slows down. The singer revealed this during an Instagram live chat with Fireboy. During the chat, Sheeran said having visited Ghana, Nigeria is his next stop and he is ready to embrace Nigerian culture, food and music. Fireboy, on the other hand, said he would be visiting the UK very soon on tour. Ed Sheeran's collaboration with Fireboy sent fans into a frenzy, with many flocking to Twitter to comment on his fancy two-step dance moves. YouTube has revealed names of African creators who have been selected to join 135 others from around the world in its flagship YouTube Black Voices Fund initiative. The group of content creators, including Fisayo Foshido from Nigeria, Justice Nandwa from Kenya, and South Africa's Nozibele Kamgana, to mention a few, come from varied professional, social, and academic backgrounds. This is the second class of African creators in the YouTube Black Voices Fund, which is now established as a multi-year commitment aimed at nurturing Black creators and artists on YouTube. And that's all we have on the entertainment segment of News Now.
Away from entertainment now to sports, Equatorial Guinea and Egypt have advanced to the quarter-finals of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations. Equatorial Guinea edged Mali 6-5 in a shootout after a drab 0-0 draw following extra time to reach the quarter-finals. The country will now go head-to-head with Senegal, one of the title favourites, in Yaoundé on Sunday for a place in the semi-finals of the flagship African tournament. I need to wrap on our news bulletin. Many thanks for watching. I am Folashade Ogurinde. Bye for now.